I want to talk about a fall and a rise. The fall of centralization and the rise of globalization. Globalization and centralization. 세계화와 비집중화. I want to talk about moving toward a single global economy for the whole world, just one economy. That's the larger context in which you are all operating. You are not operating in a vacuum. You're operating as part of a great, large context that is changing dramatically. I want to talk about this big picture in which we're all operating because it's going to influence whatever we do. And it means more opportunity, it means more competition, and it means more personal responsibility. And then we had worldwide privatization that began in the 1980s. That also represented a retreat from centralization, from nationalized industries, from shifting from government to private sector. And then there was the widespread reduction of central regulations that followed. The continued growth and stability of globalization has to, in order to continue that, it has to regroup at a higher level. Regrouping at a higher level, that's my definition of growth. The global system now, in fact, is regrouping at a higher level. And it's clear to me that to be successful, to continue growth, to be sustainable, globalization is wholly dependent on the degree to which the world is also decentralizing. The two movements of globalization and decentralization have been widely treated as separate phenomena, unconnected. We can now connect them. There is a necessary relationship between them, and it's become clear to me that globalization and decentralization work for each other. Growth and stability in the world are, in fact, wholly dependent on the degree to which the world decentralizes, with technology as the great enabler. A shift to appropriate scale, human scale, right down to the individual. It's an interplay among millions of individuals and companies, entities that I call domains, economic domains, each acting in their own interests, and that is what is happening. China, ahead of all nations, is decentralizing to a much greater extent than any other country in the world. Europe, where I live, on the other hand, must give up the centralizing ideas of federation or it will be torn apart. And that's beginning to happen. The world is decentralizing and globalizing. We have to break away, I think, from that old mindset of seeing the world as a collection of 200 countries. The context has shifted. Do not think of Italy, Japan, China, or Mexico, but think of economic domains, of economic zones and sectors with the flow of people and ideas and capital among them. All the 200 countries that make up the world are moving from geography to economics. And no matter where you live in the world, you will be part of a larger global economy. And just as surely as those who live in Denver, Colorado, are today part of the larger economy, the US economy, just as those who live in Busan are part of the larger Korean economy. Soon we're all going to be part of a larger global economy so integrated that nations' GDPs can no longer be neatly packaged. The only thing that really will matter will be GWP, gross world products of a single global economy. Hayek, who analyzed central planning so well, also said that the global economy was the most complex structure in the universe and that it was inherently incomprehensible. And it's become more complex and less understandable. And no wonder that most of us feel lost in globalization, overwhelmed by incomprehension. We don't feel part of it. We feel, many of us, that globalization is something that's done to us. But in reality, globalization is a bottom-up phenomenon with all actions initiated by millions of individuals, the sum total of which is globalization. No one is in charge, and no one can anticipate what the sum of all the individual initiatives will add up to before the results is manifest. A successful global economy can only be the result of spontaneous order. The shift in the basic building blocks of the global economy is a shift right down to the individual. It is not a shift from nation states to large enterprises, but a shift to appropriate human scale, from countries to millions of domains that can be in touch with as many or as few as it wants. Appropriate scale for exploration and refining of oil is very large. The appropriate scale for entrepreneurs selling new ideas is very small. But each can have their own global zone, their own global domain. I am not talking about a way of reorganizing the world, but about a way of understanding the world. The fastest growing business sector in the global economy today is individual entrepreneurs, global entrepreneurs, individuals on the internet. They list their products or services on the internet and use DHL or Federal Express as their distribution system. They don't know anything about how the global economy works, just that it works for them. Millions of self-sufficient domains make up the self-organized global economy. This domain world gives individuals anywhere the opportunity to participate in the larger system. As we move to a domain world, the most important responsibility of governments is education. When I first came to Korea in the 1960s, the per capita income here was only about $100 a year, a very poor country. It has been Koreans, and only Koreans, who have created the strong global economy that you have today. A very big part of that economic development strategy has been a great emphasis on education. In a domain world where individual initiative and performance are the bedrock of success, education is even more important. I believe that in preparing for tomorrow's world, the number one economic priority for any government at any level is education. So in summary, 세계화와, 비집전파, the world is regrouping at a higher level. The world is moving from centralization to decentralization, from gross domestic products of countries to gross world products, from mass customization of products to mass customization of talent, from nation states to economic domains, from a collection of national economies to a single global economy driven by individual enterprise. Now, it's going to take a long time to get there, but the direction, I believe, is firmly set. Thank you.